A very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for joining us in this weekly media briefing. We haven't had it a couple of weeks for various reasons, so it's nice to see all of you here. Let me begin with an announcement regarding the Prime Minister's visit to Japan. At the invitation of the Prime Minister of Japan, His Excellency Fumio Kishida, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi will participate in the third Quad Leaders Summit in Tokyo on 24th of May 2022, along with President Joseph Biden Jr. of USA and the Prime Minister of Australia. The summit in Tokyo is the fourth interaction of Quad leaders since their first virtual meeting in March 2021, and of course the in-person summit in Washington last September, and the virtual meeting in March this year. The forthcoming Quad summit provides an opportunity for the leaders to exchange views about developments in the Indo-Pacific region and contemporary global issues of mutual interest. The leaders will review progress of Quad initiatives and working groups, identify new areas of cooperation, and provide strategic guidance and vision for future collaborations. On the bilateral meetings that usually take place, Prime Minister will have a bilateral meeting with His Excellency Mr. Fumio Kishida, Prime Minister of Japan, on 24th of May. The meeting with Prime Minister Kishida will provide an opportunity for the two leaders to carry forward their conversations from the 14th India-Japan Annual Summit, which was held in March 2022 in New Delhi. During his visit, Prime Minister will participate in business event with Japanese business leaders. He will also address and interact with the Indian community in Japan. With the US, Prime Minister will have a bilateral meeting with the US President on 24th May. The meeting will mark a continuation of the regular dialogue, having interacted most recently in virtual mode on 11th of April this year. The two leaders are expected to review the India-US strategic partnership and follow up on discussions held during Prime Minister's bilateral meeting with President Biden last September. They will also exchange views on regional and global developments of shared interest. Prime Minister is also likely to have a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of Australia. As you know, elections are scheduled to be held in Australia on 21st of May. The two leaders, we would hope, would look at reviewing the India-Australia Comprehensive Strategic Partnership and exchange views on issues of both global and regional developments. The last bilateral meeting between the Prime Minister and Prime Minister of Australia was held. This was a virtual meeting on 21st of March this year, which was followed by the signing of the India-Australia Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement on 2nd of April. So that's broadly the announcement that I wanted to mention. I'm happy to take more questions on issues that. Oh my God, lots of hands. Okay, let's start. This was the only announcement I had at the moment. Okay, let's start with Yeshi there. Let's start across that.
Hi, this is Yeshi Seli from the New Indian Express. I'd like to know, why has the Indian High Commission in Sri Lanka, asked all the Indians to register online in the High Commission's website? I'd just like to know. And is the Kabul embassy reopening?
One. Let's start with one. There are so many hands. But I'll come to this.
सर, मैं कविता जोशी हूँ, हरिभूमि न्यूज़पेपर से। मेरा सवाल ये है कि क्या मंत्रालय की योजना है अफगानिस्तान में फिर से अपना दूतावास खोलने की? अगर ऐसी योजना है तो क्या इसको ये माना जाए कि भारत अफगानिस्तान के साथ अपने बायलैटरल और डिप्लोमेटिक रिलेशंस को भी शुरू करने जा रहा है और तालिबान और उसकी सरकार को मान्यता देने जा रहा है?
आपने पहले स्टेटमेंट कैसे शुरू किया था, फिर से बताइए। क्या हम मान सकते हैं कि भारत ये करेगी?
क्या मंत्रालय की योजना है?
पहला पार्ट, हाँ, दूसरा पार्ट
सर यही था कि इसको क्या ये माना जाए?
हाँ, माना जाए। आप मान रहे हैं ना, मेरी तरफ से जस्ट चेक कर रहा हूँ। ओके, इस तरफ एक लेता हूँ। I'll come back to you. Yeah, okay, Siddhant, I'll always no, just I'll come back to you.
So, in Tokyo, the American president will be launching the economic initiative, Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. So, what is India's stance? Will India also back this initiative of the US president?
Okay. No, he's been raising his hand very strenuously. Please go ahead.
सर, मेरा नाम संदीप है, न्यूज़ 18 इंडिया से। मेरा सवाल है कि पेंगोंग त्सो पे एक और ब्रिज जो है वो उसकी खबरें आ रही हैं कि चाइना जो है बना रहा है, इस बारे में आपके पास और क्या जानकारी है सर?
Pangyong Sobe, no? Okay. Who else had a hand up? Okay, please. I thought by now the questions have been asked, so I was just.
सर 6 जनवरी को आपने ब्रीफिंग में बताया था
आपने
कि
इंट्रोड्यूस
जो,
नहीं किया, although
मधुरेंद्र
मैं
न्यूज़ नेशन से मेरा सवाल भी पेंगोंग को लेकर है। 6 जनवरी की ब्रीफिंग में आपने बताया था जब फर्स्ट ब्रिज पेंगोंग त्सो पर चाइना बना रहा था उसकी तस्वीरें सामने आई थी और भारत ने उसका विरोध भी जाहिर किया था। बावजूद इसके दूसरा ब्रिज अब पेंगोंग पर चीन बना रहा है, जो कि स्ट्रेटजिकली काफ़ी इंपॉर्टेंट बताया जा रहा है। जो पिक्चर्स में बता रहे हैं कि किस तरह से इस पर से आर्मर्ड मूवमेंट भी आसानी से जो है वो चीन कर सकता है, मोबिलाइज कर सकता है अपनी सेना को। तो क्या इस बीच बातचीत चलती रही और कोई असर चीन के ऊपर नहीं हुआ कि वो दूसरे ब्रिज को ही बनाने में सफल है?
Okay. Let me take this round of it and then I'll come back. Yeshi, let me start with your query. Look, I think this is a very routine exercise. We ask all our embassies ask Indian nationals abroad to register. From time to time, I think they send reminders, and I think this is, I would say, this is just one of those exercises that happens to be at a time. I suppose there's a lot of attention, so all of you picked it up. I wish all our embassies do this, and I hope the same focus is given by our citizens living abroad, that they register. As you know, in different parts of the world, we have asked our embassies to do that. As of right now, I think that's what I've been told, that this is just in fact, I did check with our embassy High Commission just before I walked in, and they said no, this was just a reminder to register. From time to time they do that. अफगानिस्तान, कविता जी आपका प्रश्न अफगानिस्तान पे था। देखिए अफगानिस्तान के बारे में एंड आई एम श्योर दिस विल कम बैक इन इंग्लिश। सो जैसा कि आप जानते हैं, अगस्त 2021 पिछले साल में काबुल के सुरक्षा स्थिति के तेज खराबी के कारण हमने हमारे सारे भारतीय बेस्ड, इंडिया बेस्ड कहते हैं, भारतीय कर्मियों को अफ़गानिस्तान से बाहर निकालना पड़ा हमें। इसके बावजूद मतलब अफ़गानिस्तान के लोगों के साथ हमारी जो रिलेशनशिप है, ऐतिहासिक संबंध है, देखते हुए हमने मानवीय सहायता प्रदान करना जारी रखा है। विशेष रूप से गेहूँ भेजा है, गेहूँ का चल रहा है अभी भी, दवाइयाँ भेजी हैं, वैक्सीन्स भी भेजी थी। और जो आपका स्पेसिफिक जो सवाल था उसके बारे में, उसके संदर्भ में मैं ये सिर्फ कहूँगा कि मेरे पास अभी कोई अपडेट नहीं है, तो अगर हमारे पास कुछ रही इस बारे में कुछ तो ज़रूर आपसे इसको साझा करेंगे। Since this question would be asked in English, let me also try to answer that in English. As you are aware, following the sharp deterioration in security situation in Kabul in August last year, we had to relocate all India-based personnel out of Afghanistan. Given our historical ties with the Afghan people, we have continued to provide humanitarian assistance, particularly supplies of wheat, medicines, and vaccines. As regards a specific query about reopening of embassy, if there is any update, we will certainly share it with you. I think, Siddhant, your question was on what is being called the Indo-Pacific economic framework, right? I think that's the terminology being used. I'm actually not sure, because this is a very, let me just say that, look, this is an economic plan, I think. It's called the economic plan, so IPEF, okay, or a framework. So, look, this is an initiative of the United States. We have received, details of this, and we are examining it. At this point, that's all I have to say. I would not be in a position to, prejudge what might happen in Tokyo or in future. But as I said, we are looking into the initiative or the proposal. बाकी दो सवाल थे, हाँ, संदीप और मधुरेंद्र के। आप लोग पांग्यांग त्सो और ब्रिज और आर्मर्ड कुछ, देखिए दो मुद्दे अलग हैं। बातचीत चल रही है, मैं पहले भी कह चुका हूँ, LAC के बारे में हमारी जो रेगुलर बातचीत होती रहती है। चाइनीज़ फॉरेन मिनिस्टर भी आए थे, उनसे ही बात हुई, हमारी जो अपेक्षाएं हैं उनके पास रखी गई। और आपको याद होगा कि हमारे विदेश मंत्री ने डायरेक्टली भी बताया कि कैसी वार्तालाप हुई और क्या चीज़ों पे क्या मुद्दे हैं और हमारी क्या अपेक्षाएं हैं उसमें। और इसको आगे बढ़ाते रहेंगे। कोशिश यही रहेगी कि हमारी जो जिस तरह से हमने कह रखा है कि ये सोल्यूशन निकालना पड़ेगा आपको बातचीत से, और जब तक वो सॉल्व नहीं हो बाकी चीज़ों पे हम आगे नहीं बढ़ सकते। ब्रिज के बारे में रिपोर्ट देखी है। ये मिलिट्री इशू है, इसमें मैं कह नहीं पाऊँगा ये कहाँ पे एग्जैक्टली है, और हमने जैसे कहा है ये पूरा एरिया हमें ऑक्युपाइड एरिया पे मानते हैं, और इसके डिटेल्स और उसके क्या इम्प्लीकेशंस हैं ये आई थिंक मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ डिफेंस का ही बेटर वो बता पाएंगे उसमें। पर अगर हमारे पास इसमें और कुछ शेयर करने के लिए रहा तो हम बताएंगे। अभी हम उसको हमने भी मीडिया रिपोर्ट्स और अदर रिपोर्ट्स देखी हैं। ओके, लेट मी ओपन इट फॉर फर्दर क्वेश्चंस एनीबडी हैज। ओके, गो अहेड। Okay. Okay. Before basically, look, I think that issues are there. There is the issues of talks as well as this bridge. On the talks part of it, I think we have been pretty clear, and I think we've been saying the same thing repeatedly. We have had various rounds of conversations. The Chinese side at different levels, diplomatic and military side. We also, as you're aware, Foreign Minister Wang Yi was here in March this year, and EM conveyed our expectations to him. As EM had said then, and I remember him talking to the media subsequently, the frictions and tensions that arise from China's deployments since April 2020 cannot be reconciled with a normal relationship between two neighbors. So we will continue to remain engaged with the Chinese side, both at the diplomatic and military levels, to ensure that the directions given by the two ministers are implemented fully. And of course, if there is any further update, we will share with you. So that's on the talks part of it. We have seen media reports and other reports on the so-called bridge, or I don't know if it's somebody said a second bridge, or if it's an expansion or widening of the current bridge. Look, probably, and the area that is referred to is, of course, we've always felt this was occupied, and we have had our, for decades, and we have, of course, from a military perspective, I would not be in a position to comment that. I think Ministry of Defense or the implications of that. But as I said, we monitor such developments, and if there's any update on this, we will share with you. Okay, Huma, please.
I'm Huma Siddiqui from the Financial Express. Just wanted to check, is there any idea when is the 2+2 Indo-Japan talks expected?
I don't think we have any date for that, Huma. I'm certainly not during this visit, but if there is, we will let you know. Sorry. Good.
So I'm Akhilesh Suman from Samsung TV. Brics foreign ministers meeting is going on.
Yes.
I don't know whether it is over or it's still going on. So can you please tell us some details about what is the agenda and what outcomes?
Okay, I'll come to that. Okay. Who else had a hand up? Okay.
My question is about the visit of the U.S. coordinator on democracy, human rights, as well as the special coordinator on Tibet, Uzra Zia, to Delhi in two parts. One, Ms. Zia is believed to have met with civil society representatives. Did she raise any human rights concerns in her meetings with Foreign Secretary Vinay Quatra? And the second is that China has issued a statement protesting the visit and her meeting with the Dalai Lama in Dharamsala fairly strongly. Has China raised this in any bilateral context, either in Beijing or in Delhi with the Indian government?
Okay. So
I have a question on the Quad if there's time at the end.
Okay. We'll have a look. Shudhi?
Sir, Shudhirajan from Bloomberg, associating with my colleague there who's raised the issue on the Brics summit. And also, is there any clarity will the Prime Minister be going?
No, sorry, I didn't get your first part.
I mean,
on the
Akhilesh,
Brics.
Akhilesh is,
You also would like to know about the Brics. Okay,
that.
Fair enough.
And also, sir, do we have any clarity as to when the Brics summit head of state is? Will the Prime Minister go on all those things, sir?
You want a short answer? Okay. Any others? Okay, please take the last one.
Hi, hello. My name is Takashi Ishihara from Asahi Shimbun, Japanese newspaper. I'd like to ask about the Quad meeting. So during the Quad meeting for India, how much is the Quad meeting important? And I think one of the main issues will be Ukraine issue, and then also the security and the deterrence on China. So how would India stress on those issues?
Okay, let me take those round of questions and I'll come back. Huma, I just answered your thing immediately. Sorry, yeah, on 2+2. Akhilesh ji, aap keh rahe the Brics, Foreign Minister, and Sudhi also wanted the same. Look, this is what I call as a live activity. Even as we speak, the Brics Foreign Minister, which is a meeting which is happening virtually, is underway. It started a little while ago, I think around maybe about an hour ago, hour and a half ago. That is currently underway. Let it get over. We will certainly share information about what was discussed and what we would like to put out, and I assure you there'll be some information. But I think while I have some information, I think let's wait for the actual conversation to get over before we make comments on that. So Hasani, regarding your query on, I think it was on the Azrazea visit. Let me mention from our perspective. Look, U.S. Undersecretary of State Azrazea, she has multiple roles, but she's a U.S. Undersecretary of State, is on an official visit to India. She met senior officials here in GOI, including Foreign Secretary and Secretary West in the Ministry of External Affairs. She also met the Chief Election Commissioner, among others. Discussions focused on global and regional issues of mutual interest. We always say that. Both sides also discussed follow-up to PM's participation in the Summit for Democracy in December 2021 that was hosted by President Biden. I am not aware of the details of the conversation about what specific issues were raised. I would not be able to comment on that. But as regards to other activities and agenda, I would refer you to the U.S. Embassy. They would be in a better position to indicate what all she's doing in terms of official meetings. This was here with the government. This is what it was. I am also not aware if there has been anything said by the Chinese or China on this to us. I'm not aware of it at least. But look, if it's happened recently in the last few hours, I don't know. But I'm not aware of this being taken up. Shruti, your question on the Brics I answered. Also related to that. Takashi, on your query, look, obviously we attach a lot of importance to the Quad. This is, as I said, the fourth interaction, third in person. We have been keen to showcase what the Quad can do together and what it stands for. You mentioned a couple of issues that you feel might be discussed. That's your perspective. As I said, and if you wish, I will happily reiterate our perspective on how we see the Quad meeting looking at it. We will look at areas. I think the Quad is a very large agenda, and different verticals that it is discussing, and I think this is an opportunity to take them forward. They will, of course, discuss, I'm sure, contemporary issues, topics that any party or any Quad member would like to bring. And let me not prejudge that. Once it happens, we will be in a better position to share with you what was the discussions. But at this point, let me emphasize the importance that we attach to this visit, both on the Quad as well as bilaterally to Japan and the meetings that we will have with Prime Minister will have with his counterparts and bilateral. Okay, if there are no further questions, okay. Thanks very much for your presence. You had a question? Sorry, I thought there were no other questions. You already asked a question. I don't. Do I look like a guy? This is a bad face. I need to have a more serious face. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead then. No, you haven't asked. Please. No, please. You asked already?
No, I have not.
Then you always get a chance first. Yeah.
Yeah. This is Oparaji Chakraborty. Yes. I'm from China Daily.
Yes.
Beijing has already started the process to facilitate the return of Indian students to China.
Okay.
In the backdrop of this decision, do you think is there any possibility that India will review its decision to cancel the tourist visa of Chinese national, or the decision will improve bilateral relations?
You're asking two very different topics, and I'll try to come back to it. No. Okay. 1 second before that. Anybody who's not asked a question, because I just asked the last. You haven't asked a question, right? Actually, I forgot. I thought you asked right in the beginning. Go ahead, Sridhar.
So, is there any move in the Brics? Because we are having within a week 2 engagements which have very diverse worldviews. One is the Brics and one is the Quad. So, I wanted to ask. Is there any move to emphasize that countries that the legitimate security concerns of countries should be respected? I mean, it is a sort of a very pro-Russian kind of position. and the kind of position we take that territorial integrity of nations should be respected as per the UN Charter. So that is seen as a pro-Ukraine position. So how do you make that?
I am completely lost. That didn't sound like a question.
My question is, at the Brics summit, is there, I'm sorry.
Which Brics summit?
The Brics foreign ministers.
Okay.
The Brics foreign ministers meeting. Is there any move to sort of emphasize that the legitimate security concerns of countries should be respected?
Again, short or long answer. I forgot actually Shudhi's question. I'll come back to that in a second. Okay, who else had a quick last, who was second round of questions? You wanted, Uma. Yeah, go ahead. And you and Swasini. Okay, we'll close with that.
I just wanted to check if the issue of food security will come up when Prime Minister Modi meets with Mr. Biden, because since yesterday they have been focusing on food security.
You mean in the wheat? Yes. Or something else in wheat? Okay, and Swasini? Anything, you had a query on something else?
Yeah. On the Quad, I did want to ask that recently it has emerged that the Quad vaccine initiative has not actually sent any vaccines as part of the plan to manufacture Indian-made vaccines with US funding, Japanese and Australian distribution. I'm not talking about the ones that have been made in India, donated by India to East Asian countries. So that part of the Quad vaccine initiative hasn't yet done that. I wanted to ask whether the Quad summit is going to discuss changing the initiative's goalposts, or is there going to be a review of this process, especially given the fact that the lab that was identified is no longer producing any Johnson & Johnson vaccines. In fact, they're only producing Corbevax, which is a vaccine that hasn't received WHO, EUL, so cannot really be exported.
Okay. Fine, nothing else. Thanks. Okay, let me go around. Shruti, apologies, you had asked about Brics, and I'll link that with Sridhar's question. Also, look, as of right now, I have no information to share on when the Brics summit is happening. But right now, we're having the Brics foreign minister meeting. That's in a virtual format. So your other related questions of whether Prime Minister will go, if it's going to be held in a physical format, you're presuming, are all speculative at this point. Again, Sridhar, with all respects, I don't know what you still meant. I don't know who uses the term.
My question is very specific.
Yes, I know. Legitimate security concerns, will it be used? It is also.
India, will it be emphasized at the Brics?
How do I know what other people would say? I won't even be in a position to tell you what our Prime Minister or our Foreign Minister would say in a meeting before that. No, we haven't used that terminology. If I know, if we are related to Ukraine, I think we've been talking. We have been emphasizing the importance of territorial integrity and sovereignty and UN Charter. But let's see what the discussions. We will brief you. I assure you on when the meeting gets over. This is regarding. As regards the food security, wheat sort of issue. Look, I think instead of me trying to say what the food, what would be raised or not is, again, we are more in the nature of speculating what might come out. I would think let's. Yesterday, I think we have seen, of course, earlier press releases by various, but I think yesterday our minister, Honorable Minister V. Muralidharan, was in New York, and his statement is, I think, what I would recommend is captures what we are trying to say best at this point. Let me see if I have that statement here, because we are. I think he made 2-3 points, and let me emphasize that. I don't know what would be raised, but I think MOS's statement captures what we're trying to say, which is that, look, there has been an unjustified increase in food prices, and it's clear that hoarding and speculation is at work from our perspective. And we are committed to ensuring that such adverse impact on food security is effectively mitigated, and the vulnerable are cushioned against sudden such changes. So in order to manage our own overall food security and also support the needs of neighboring and other vulnerable developing countries, we announced some measures regarding wheat exports on 13th of May and subsequent clarifications in that. So these measures allow for export. It's not that, I think the terminology was, it allows for export on the basis of approvals to those countries who needed to meet their food security demands or requirements. And it will be based on request from the concerned governments. And this policy, or such a policy, will ensure that we truly respond to those who are most in need. I think what MOS said was also very valid when he said that it is necessary for all of us to adequately appreciate the importance of equity, affordability and accessibility when it comes to food grains. We have already seen to our great cost as a humanity how these principles were effectively disregarded when it came to COVID-19 vaccines. So open markets must not become an argument to perpetuate inequity and promote some degree of discrimination. And India has, of course, been very supportive and helped its partners in distress, even in the middle of COVID-19 and ongoing conflicts. So I think these measures on wheat export, I think, should be seen from that context. And I think we will be sharing such a perspective if this is raised. I think there was a query from Aparajit Chakravarti about look, I don't know, you made two assertive statements. I don't know whether I'm fully with you there. I do know there was some announcement of modalities of seeing how Indian students can come back to, go back to China. As you know, this is a priority for us, and we have been saying this from this platform and various other occasions. We have been raising it. I know that there's some information that was collected by our embassy. I don't have the latest update on what exactly has happened or whether students have started to go. I have not seen any reports that indicate they're back there yet. We would certainly continue to press the Chinese side to take measures so that Indian students whose opportunities they require to go back, and particularly medical, are able to go and they do not suffer anymore because of these restrictions. The other element that you referred to in terms of visas, I don't think there was a cancellation, and I remember this query came up, I think the last time I spoke or before that. We basically said that given the COVID situation in China or in certain cities, it wasn't an opportune time to look at resuming grant of tourist visas, because there are certain visas that are continued. I don't think the situation would have changed too much. This is not a new decision. This decision exists in terms of COVID-related restrictions. I don't even would like to speculate whether this would improve relations between the two countries. So let's see. I think both sides should understand the plight of students who are stuck, and I think let's work towards that. And as the situation on COVID improves, of course, as we have done with other countries, we'll see what can be done on other kinds of visas. Coming back finally to the query on Quad vaccine. Look, again, we have sent under the Quad umbrella vaccines, as you correctly mentioned. I think it was Cambodia and Thailand, which were recently. Though you are also correct that this was vaccines made in India, Covishield. I don't know that, I disagree with you when you seem to indicate it detracts from the overall. I think this is part of exactly whatever each country can do, is doing in terms of contributing to that. Yes, an original plan was to have a very different modalities, but again, what is the final objective is to ensure that vaccines are shared under the Quad umbrella to those countries that need it. About the details of what would happen, and as you said, the labs, etc. Yes, there have been developments. There are groups, working groups that under this, which would hopefully look at these elements. I would think this Quad summit would be an opportunity to again look at this. But I don't know whether I can make a commitment they'll be reviewed or not. I think that would be a bit more than I can confirm at this point. Okay. Thank you very much for your presence here today. Good evening.